Awesome. So, Andre, thanks so much for taking the time to chat. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yes. So my name is André Luis. I'm the founder of THU and CEO nowadays. And my background is from industrial design, marketing management, and I've been studying human behavior in the last 12, 13 years. And more or less what I do is my life work is to try to empower creators and make sure the world understand that we are important for society. So it's my life work. And that's exactly what I do at THU nowadays.
I love it. And I was curious too, for you, how did you first get involved in digital art? Were you always a creative, or how did you first kind of land in this world?
I always love animation and 3D. So when I went to university a long time ago, 99, I wanted to do 3D, and the only degree that allowed me to actually use computers at the time was industrial design in terms of 3D. AutoCAD at the time, and Rhino, and after that Max. And
I love Rhino, or at least the
yeah,
beta. I haven't touched it since, but yeah.
um, I worked a lot in Rhino. So when I finished my degree, I wanted to go for animation at Disney. I pursued that dreams. I joined the master in San Francisco School of Art to make the master in animation, but because of love, a girlfriend, I decided to stay in Portugal, and my life changed. And so after that, I continued to pursue like my passion for the creative world, creative artist.
Mhm.
And by 2008, I opened the first computer graphics school in Portugal.
Cool.
At the time, I wanted to do stuff, but there was no people in the market to actually do. And I knew at the time that I was okay, not good. So I knew that if I really wanted to do something, I needed to find people better than me to actually bring my ideas to life. So that was something that I realized when I started seeing stuff from others that I'm good, but I will never achieve this level. So that's the starting point of everything.
Actually, I just remember this, but I'm not sure if I ever told you, but when I was 17 years old, I had got offered a job in Portugal, and I was going to move there. It was
No,
to Madeira, I think the island.
Madeira, yes,
Yeah.
Madeira, yes.
Yeah, I just got very impatient waiting for my visa, so I ended up taking a job elsewhere. But I still kind of look back on like the what if, just because it's such a beautiful country, and yeah, so it would have definitely been very life-changing.
Well, Madeira is an island, so at the time when you were 17, there was nothing there. So I think you will kill yourself for a while. And I was there in the winter, like in December, and it's a fantastic place. The best food,
Mhm.
sightseeing, and the quality of life top notch. But I'm assuming that the time you were supposed to get hired, well, maybe it will change everything because I've been Allan McKay in Portugal working for sure makes a difference. So maybe we are like this step away to actually be a power force in this industry if that happens.
You're too flattering.
Maybe it's true. Like we just need like people like you coming to Portugal and start changing the mentalities,
Mhm.
so we can actually be better. Let's say this.
Just to touch on that, because I'm curious about for you, because I do feel like in a lot of ways, Australia, especially in the 90s versus like Portugal, it's like you have places, as you mentioned, San Francisco, like the heart of visual effects and creative industries, and then you have the outliers where there's a lot of creative people, but there's not necessarily a big industry. For you, what was like in Portugal back then, also now? Like, do you feel that there is a thriving industry, or how important has it been to bring other people in to discover and work in Portugal?
So when I started THU at the time, I had the feeling that only the Portuguese has this problem about lacking of opportunities, let's say this. When I started THU, I realized that the lack of opportunities is everywhere. Besides the big centers like LA, San Francisco, Montreal, Paris, London, that you have the companies there and it's everything happens there. Everyone else, even outside London, at the time, by the way, now everything changed, but even outside LA, besides LA, Seattle and San Francisco, now things change also, but there's a lot of cities that suffer with the lack of industry or the
Yeah.
lack of opportunities. For me, in Portugal, the major problem relies and still remains that in education. In my opinion, I'm starting to be super vocal here in Portugal. The art education in Portugal, for me, is one of the worst in the world. The degrees are the people that give, some of them they're starting to some changes, but the majority, they never work in the industry. The standards are not high. Schools are not prepared for, they don't want to have high standards, because even the students, the mentality is like just drinks and go with the flow. So at the end of the day, I talk with a lot of companies and ask them, why you don't open studios in Portugal? They all reply the same: there is no talents there, there's not enough people. Because you have good people in terms of engineering, it's true, that's why you have a lot of startups here from the tech world. But in terms of the creative talent, there's a lack of people, and everything, it's about education. And myself, I've been trying to change that, but to be honest, and I'm in Portugal at least, education is one of the most corrupt areas in Portugal. So it's a tough world. I had a school, and I saw in my own eyes how the system is broken, how the system is not good. As a Portuguese, we unfortunately we are good in economics, in business, engineering, medicine, but terrible in the art world. And so that's the major problem. And I see this happening around the world in a lot of cities too. That's why the outliers, the most difficult thing is how can we change? And it's really hard, because the best minds in the world, they move. They don't want to stay in a place. They have ambitions. Like all the good talents in Portuguese, if you go to any organizations in the world, you will see Portuguese there.
Mm-hmm.
If you, any, like there is Portuguese from Pixar to Disney, Netflix, Blizzard, King, Supercell. There are Portuguese everywhere because they live. So there's no one in Portugal. So that's why THU has been trying to solve this, and we are preparing a program called THU Libraries that also to actually change this. And we are calling, like the same way you have Doctors Without Borders, we are building the Creators Without Borders. So we are using the trial. Hey, do you want to go 2 months to Ivory Coast? We'll cover everything and give you 5,000 euros a month. So you go like to Ivory Coast, giving back for society. Like you, Allan, you can, hey, I want to work remotely and I want to help this, and I'm being paid. The only thing that I need to go is 2 months to be mentors of 30 young kids in a program, education program from THU. It's a 1-year program, 2 months every month mentor. So if the goal is the lack of local talents, high level, to give actually the proper education and inspirational network, how can you change this? And so that's the solution, because we have THU and we know that now we have a lot of people they want to give back. We are implementing this plan so we can have, and using the public libraries as like the place. So you don't need a lot of money. Just there is a public library everywhere, and you can go like having the best minds in the world in the middle of in Abidjan or in Marrakesh or even in Beja, that is like in a countryside of Portugal. And we can provide the best education in the world for cities or locations that we believe they care at the end of the day.
I love that. Formal education versus the education that comes from a lifetime of experience of doing this is so different. And I had that actually when I was 17. The job I had that I was going to leave to go to Portugal, I was actually lecturing at university, and it was very frustrating because obviously I was very young compared to everyone else. But the frustrating thing that I saw was that all these students came in, they paid a fortune to learn. And the one thing that I kept being told, because I would teach advanced classes and beginner classes, because I wanted the people who paid all this money, who were talented, to nurture that talent and get them really good. The people who were struggling, I wanted them to actually get to a point where they felt like they could keep up. And the feedback I always got from my bosses at the university was that just make it easy on them. It's easier on them and it's easier on us. You know, in other words, just lower the bar. Yeah. That was always frustrating for me because, again, it's something where if you're paying all this money and you're going in with this expectation, and the people that you put that trust into are failing you from the beginning because all they care about is graduation, you know, so that way they have that success rate.
That's the most frustrating thing. Like, I did an audit in the education in Portugal with one of the ministers. Mm-hmm. And part of my report was a lot of these people need to go to the jail because they are lying and using like money, that this is a lie. And we know that is a lie because me or you as a company, we'll try to hire someone that is just fresh degrees, and you know that we'll not hire anyone. There is one or two unicorns that they did the homework and they work outside school to actually get the proper education, but not from the education that they paid. Like myself, when I was in this specific one university, I knew that I had to take extra courses and a lot of extra work to actually be in certain level. But that's it for me, is what I teach you is starting to fight now, or not fighting, like just I stop fighting and find a solution, because maybe one day we can actually have the power to have more, to be more vocal and change something. But that's exactly what happened now. Like people are paying for certain things and we know that they will not receive that. There is a disconnecting from the system, there's a disconnecting from the professional world, and you want to change. There is Artifacts in France that is amazing, Idea Academy that is amazing, Gnomon School that are amazing, but you can count in your fingers how many schools around the world. That 3D Sense in Singapore, but a lot of others, like the majority, 99.9%, it's fucked up. So it's the biggest problem in our industry.
So for you, when was it time, do you think, to launch THU? Like, where did the idea come from? Obviously, it sounds like it came from frustration and disgust for the education industry.
No and yes. So I opened my computer graphics, co-found my computer graphics school with 14 partners. After 5 years, the school succeeds, and I had ambitious plans to go to different level, and my biggest partner said no and shut me down from the school. He had the power, he had almost 70%, and I only had 10%. So from nothing, I lose everything. Again, I had 2 bankruptcies in my life. So this was my second one. Suddenly, my 5 years project to actually develop the industry in Portugal with the dream of education. Like I always believe that if you want to change something, it needs to go for education. So after 5 years changing, because I believe we changed like the way the education was perceived in the creative industry, I lost everything. But at the time, I got an incredible group of ex-students, and I opened a company for them. And we built a showreel. I travel around the world trying to give my cards and getting contracts, and 0 answers. At the time, there was no LinkedIn, there was nothing. It was in 2012. So I was like, okay, the money is going to be out again. I'm going to lose everything, and I need to find the solutions to actually get these kids jobs. My first international guests to my school was Serge Biro, the French illustrator. And I told him, like, hey, do you want to help me to do this event? And he said, yes, but that is a mistake. You will lose a lot of money. That is not going to happen. My philosophy was, I know Serge Biro fall in love with Portugal. And I said, well, if he falls in love and he's French, so maybe if I bring everyone else to my hometown, more people will fall in love. So that Troy is my hometown. So was that the reason? I brought a lot of people to Troy to actually introduce myself and get jobs to the kids. And by the end of the second day, I realized that I figured out find a way to change the world. At the end of the day was that. So in the last 10 years, I've been studying the artists, the creators, the industry, and trying to manage projects or solutions for the problems. That's everything we do. So that's the story, the background of THU.
I love that. I'm curious for you, like, how would you describe what THU is for anyone who doesn't know Trojan Horse?
Was a unicorn. So nowadays it's a global community of creators with only one mission: to empower creators. This means like trying to get the right tools to help anyone that wants to create something to achieve their dreams. Create means like developing your career, like your portfolio. You want to build your project, and you want to help someone, like as in the digital entertainment world. So what we do is that we are a global organization with only this goal, trying to empower creators and make sure that society can respect us as a power force of society, because we are necessarily.
Yeah.
So that's what we are nowadays. And we have projects to achieve these goals. That's the thing. A lot of people see us as just the main event. Oh, we are an event. That's the thing.
It's a lot more than that.
So much more.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to get to experience it for the first time last year, and it was amazing. Such an amazing community and culture, as well as just so many talented people, both speakers as well as attendees. And I've stayed in contact with a lot of the attendees who attended workshops or things like that, and have been helping them since. And it's just been a really positive experience. And I feel it's something that you don't realize how special it is until you're actually there with everyone. Yeah, so it's been amazing just to kind of witness that from the outside looking in.
Thank you. I'm always like speechless when I hear this, but thank you from my heart. It is what we try to do, like build a special place where people can actually do what you are doing, that is giving back and continue, because events normally is like you go and you leave and that's it. And you don't change anyone, you don't make the difference. So everything we do is like, at least we try to do, is how can we actually build relationships, because by the end of the day, the most important thing is relationships. So it's really super cool to hear from you.
From what you've witnessed, like what kind of impact has THU made on the creative industry in general?
A lot of events copy THU, so that's one thing. At least we change the way the art industries are perceived. That's one thing I know that we did it. Since 2012-13, there was few, at the time there was no art, like Massive Black Workshop was over, Behind the Iron Curtain was over, because this was the two major inspiration, Behind the Iron Curtain from Ioan Dumitrescu. When I saw him doing this in Romania, I said, if he's doing in Romania, Portugal can do it too. At the end of the day, was like the sparkling. The Massive Black Workshop was always like my dream. The Massive Black was at the time a power force in our industry. They brought to one place all the best minds in the world, the best creators. For me, it's like, this is amazing. That can only happen in LA or San Francisco. And so when we started THU, we saw like a difference around the world. Even from big companies, they use THU as a case study for the event they want to do it. The rest, I don't know if I change, but we are trying to do our own way to help creators. And I know we helped a lot of people. We are not vocal in stuff that we do. For example, New Voices, Diversity and Inclusion, we are going to start showing now. But in 2017, we started a program to actually try to literally make the change in our in terms of diversity, inclusion, and equity. But we never announced nothing, because our philosophy, instead of talking, do it. So we spent the last, since 2017 years, learning how to actually make the difference. So we brought a lot of people from Africa and Middle East. We track the way they learn from the events, and the way they connect when they go back home, and they connect with the tribe, and how they're starting to build more jobs, better jobs. And now we are starting to have that data, and we are starting to go and release that work we've been doing. We spend a lot of money from our own pockets to actually do this, because our philosophy is the only way to actually make the difference is not about talking, like I said, or it's about inclusion. Inclusion is, you need to bring someone and build and bring that person or group of people to a place they will feel at home. And I think that's the biggest secret of THU, is that when you go there, they feel connected, and the people respect them as they are, they should, and not just because they are poor or they are from outside, from Africa or from Middle East. And that is something that I hope, that is the project I hope can inspire others and change the way organizations spend money in terms of diversity and inclusion and equity. That is a trend word, but by the end of the day, it is full of a lot of like fireworks and nothing really we can see that is making the difference. Besides that, I don't know, Allan. We continue our journey to do what we believe. Hopefully we inspire others in the process, but we don't know if we change a lot yet, the industry.
I still think it's really inspiring, and I think that's a commonality that you and I share, you on a much bigger scale than me, but giving back. And because again, I think it's one of those things that it's very easy to be selfish and think about how to get ahead yourself, but to give that opportunity and plant that seed for others to get ahead, it's, for me, that's always been the driver, because even right now, I was talking with one of my team last night about how it's funny that I'm working with several people that were students of mine 10 years ago, and they're supervisors now. And the thing is that across the world, like the more that you get to impact someone, even on a small scale, and see them grow and see where they head, it's so important to be able to be a part of that journey with them versus just thinking about what you can get out of it yourself. And obviously, that is something that you've got a big focus on. Is not about you; it's about them and giving back to that creative industry, which I think again is really inspiring.
It is, like you said, like it's really, at least for me, when I see people that I at THU, we started this 10 years ago, a lot of young kids, they were like students and now they are supervisors and they're starting their own companies. And it's mind blowing and so refreshing. And you have different conversations, you build truly relationships that based on that instead of just being selfish. And we are hoping to, actually we are going to launch the THU Village by the end of this year. That is our platform that allow, for example, people understand the giving back process, because we want to make everyone accountable about the giving back process. And if you don't know how to give back, we are going to teach you how much you give, how much you receive. So we are going to implement this in a bigger scale, because we believe that the only way to actually accelerate and make sure we can also succeed is to accelerate the giving back process. And the benefits are fantastic, and I'm with you. It's amazing. It's what drives us, even in my team, to continue the work we do, suffering everything we suffer, because it's every time we receive a no from organization, they don't want to be part of career camp, or a speaker, they don't even reply to an artist, they don't even reply to go to THU, or a sponsor or organization they don't want to sponsor. Like, for example, I'm trying to raise scholarships, sponsorship tickets for young female entrepreneurs for the event. And every time I receive a no, it's like, why I'm doing this? Like this organization, why I'm doing this? Why? But after that, we see all the people we helped and how they succeed. And we receive a lot of like this feedback, and it's worth it. It's worth it all. Fighting against the giants, and it's worth it. It's really incredible.
I guess at the same time, I'm kind of curious because we talked about or hinted at this a little bit. Like, what was the first event like for THU? Like, what was the early days like?
Crazy. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know what to expect. I knew at the time that I just wanted to do something non-corporate. That's why the name Trojan Horse was a unicorn. I needed something really stupid, really completely stupid, so people didn't had any, what the hell is this? There's nothing to compare. And after that, I don't want to do roundtables. I don't want to do the same old thing. I don't want to do promotion of a company. I don't want, like, if there is someone that is not from Disney, it's Paul Briggs. It's not Paul Briggs from Disney. We wanted to bring the people, not the companies. And we don't want to sell nothing. We just want to sell inspiration. So all the fight against how to actually get sponsors and saying to the sponsors that you will not be promoted. So I missed the early days. Everything was much easier. At the time, the passion to go to the events was completely different. We felt there was we are all naive at the time. The generation 10 years ago, 9 years ago, and 8 years ago, all this generation that is starting to be supervisors, we are all naive, trying to find our way, and is a new generation that was building what is happening now at the end of the day. But we are all naive. It was pretty inspiring, and seeing all the things that had happened. And because THU was pretty unique at the time, 2014 there was EFCC that happened. In 2015, I think Yamag, and after that there was the industry workshop, and after that there was Promised Land. But we are pretty like the crazy ones, the pirates in 2013, 2014, and 2015. So it was pretty financially was a disaster, because we shut down the event in 2015. Actually, we are losing 500,000, but we are all like crazy, like all the community, everyone let's change the industry. It was like, now we are no longer pirates, or we are pirates, but there's a lot of different challenge, let's say this.
That's great.
I missed the first three editions of THU.
So it was 2014, was it? Because do you know Delcio Gomez?
Of course, I know Delcio. Of course,
He was
course
trying to convince me to go with him in 2014. He's like, "Hey, there's this event. Let's go to Portugal." And at the time, I was renewing my visa in the US, and actually, I was switching to a green card, so it was just leaving the country was complicated, so I couldn't go. But I didn't realize that would have been the first event.
The first event was 2013.
Okay.
So you were going to the and Delcio went to the second event. In total, almost 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was more speakers than attendees. Almost 2014 wins, and everything started in a bigger scale.
But that's it. Like you figure it out, and then you scale. You don't say we're gonna build the world's biggest event, Woodstock, and then any disaster is amplified. So I think getting to make it more intimate the first time, and then learning what worked and what didn't, I'm sure that was a big learning experience.
Oh yeah, and when we moved to Malta, one of the things was we are selling out all the tickets in Troia with a big waiting list. I believe in 2016 we had like more than 500 people in the waiting list, so we could actually double the event. And we moved to Malta because there was a bigger venue and everything different. And when we scale a bit, the magic dropped. So we decided to go back again to a smaller scale, and we will continue to be small. And all my events now, the events I do physical I prefer to change that people lives, like 200 or 300 or 400, instead of making money with 3,000.
Yeah.
Because I will not change anyone. The tricky thing here is how to convince sponsors that we are worth it. And all the money they give to us, it's worth it, because that's the thing. But I believe nowadays, when you are investing in this community and building relationship, these are the ones that are trendsetters that will open our companies, that are influencers. And by the end of the day, they will buy computers, they will buy software, they will be the trendsetters. So that's the way I want to go, and hope we are going in that direction. And that's the thing. Scaling killed everything in a way. Even everything we do, even for career camp that we now have 4,000 people, we have a process of the tribe members can bring a +1. So they need to be smart. And that's the second thing is you need to be selected. We prefer always quality in terms of quantity. That's the thing.
Yeah, whether it's Pixar or whether it's an event, I've never heard anyone say that it's so much greater now that we're bigger. And
events are necessary. That's the thing. If things were done in the proper way, there should be events everywhere in the world as a connectors, and because it helps. You feel alone, you are alone, you need some support, and events allow you to actually get that support. Especially the introverts, especially the ones that are super shy. I'm glad, and for me is what makes more proud is THU. We attract the introverts. We attract the shy people. So we are the home of the introverts. That makes me super happy. And that's because you mentioned it's because of our culture. Our culture, our values comes first. Everything we do. So that is something that I wish to inspire others to do it. And every time an event approach me to give feedback about the work and suggestions and how we do it, it's everything I try to bring to them is the success of THU is about the values. So make sure everything you do goes in that direction, because people need to feel respected, and they feel they are not just a ticket, they are a person with a lot of fears and desires and struggles, and they need to understand that there's someone look to them. So that's the thing.
That was something that I witnessed a lot. Was you would see a few people walking to an event, and you see someone walking by themselves, and it's like, hey, let's go and meet that person and walk with them. And I felt in general it's just it just kind of really breathed community into everyone, that it wasn't hey, we're all strangers going to a thing. It's we're all on an island together, and we all have these commonalities. And I'd love for you to elaborate on this too. You had so many social events, whether it was just going and hanging out in the park, or doing karaoke on the final night, which was hilarious because I could hear it very clearly from my hotel, people singing terribly or beautifully, in the middle of the night. There were so many just fun activities for everyone to do, and it isn't just this thing where it's like show up at a hotel, sit there, try not to fall asleep. It was something that was 24/7, and I guarantee that there's many friendships that are created at that event.
I think that not necessarily like what we do during the 6 days, 7 days is make sure that we have things for people in the morning and things because there are morning people and there are night people. So we try to make sure that this is happening. My goal in my events is to make people suffer. Because if you suffer and if you become tired, you start to open yourself and you start to build that connections, because everything we do by the end of the day is not explaining how to work with Photoshop, is not explaining how to be a supervisor. It's explaining how to actually understand that networking is the most important thing in life.
Absolutely.
So the activities we do is to make sure that we can make sure that everybody can suffer. This is a really cool or sad way to say, but it's the way we do it. So suffering is a way to, and you go to war, you became friends for life. And THU for me is a war, is a roller coaster. Come here, discover yourself, discover others, and start a new process. And the new process is something that don't teach online, that is connecting with people. You don't find online, like relationships that is for life. And so all the activities we do goes in that direction. So we have, my favorite was, for now, always will be the sand sculpture in 2000, in total context World Championship sand sculpture on the beach in 2015. The bubble football championship was pretty cool too. The Tekken battles was pretty cool too. In the beginning, when art battles was not a thing, but in 2013, 2014, and 2015, the art battles of THU was pretty fantastic. After that, became super like trendy in all the events. I remember and everybody has art battles. So we are stopping the art battles because it's no longer something that connects. It's more just a protocol. So we decided to cut. The dance team this year the dance activity was mind blowing. Like 500 people dancing at the same time was amazing. But we had pretty crazy stuff during the years. This was my favorites, but all of them was to make sure that people can actually have several opportunities to connect with different people. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. And this is success because we all want to hear this or this. We want to see something that is unique. So it's about the experience. So we try to manage with the budget we have to build this experience to make sure it's worth it enough for people to stay. Like Ioi this year when she did the live painting at midnight. Yeah. With the piano was pretty mind-blowing. So it's experience that connects with you, and it's quite often to see people crying and discovering stuff from these kind of activities.
Just to be clear for anyone, also just to understand, there are also obviously many talks and amazing education going on with, in my opinion, the greatest artists in the world all attending. It was great just to catch up with a lot of friends like Mark Simonetti and all the other attendees, meets Maya, and also meet a lot of really talented people, both attendees as well as speakers. But in addition, just, outside of that, it isn't that on-off thing of okay, event's done, let's all go get drunk. It's so much more, which I think is really amazing. And what I really loved, and I think it's so rare, I was talking with Karen Fong about this actually, that just the workshops as well, because for me that was great. I ended up spending 3 hours just sitting in the park because I didn't want it to end, but just getting to meet 30, 40 people, it felt like that many, but just getting to hear their stories and talk with them and help them through their problems. But I feel like for the most part, most events don't have that intimacy. It's usually go sit in a hotel. It's not get to interact with these people that perhaps you followed online or followed their work, or just they're a huge inspiration to you, and actually getting to connect with them. So getting to sit down with Mark or someone like that and get to pick their brain about their style or some of the struggles you're having and get their advice. I think that's so impossibly rare, and just that alone is so much worth the whole journey.
It's time. It's all about time. Like you said, I go to a lot of events too, and I feel like I just want to go to my hotel and go to have dinner with my friends. I don't want to, because you see that even people don't want to stay with you. You see that in a lot of events, there are groups and they don't want to talk with you. They don't even, if you approach them, they feel like, what the hell is this guy trying to, like, it's really weird. And I'm not saying that is bad or good. Like, it's for people like me, I prefer to have like really connections and learn. But it's about time. Like, something a lot of people say, why is 6 days? And because you need time to build connections, you need time to set up, you need time to be open. And so in the beginning, Allan, was pretty complicated to convince speakers to stay. Hey, you need to be 6 days in a place. And even nowadays, we feel like for a lot of, especially for seniors, that I believe THU is becoming, the main event is going to be for seniors. Seniors need to understand they need time to stop, to rethink, to rebuild themselves. And for that, they need like a retreat. And THU, I'm building for 2024, like THU is going to be a retreat for seniors. That's more than ever. Obviously, juniors can go, and obviously students are always more than welcome. But I feel for juniors and students, there's a lot of events out there. But for seniors, for people like us, we need like to spend time with a lot of incredible minds, like having the time to spend with them. It's quite rare. You don't have that. How you have like opportunity to be with Mark Simonetti 3 days, 4 days in a row? How? Or you don't.
That's right. I was curious, for you, what were some of the big lessons that you've taken from THU over the years that have really stuck with you?
The biggest lesson is our industry is really bad. Our industry is full of bullshit. And that's the reason our industry is not respected worldwide. That's the reason why we are always like the non-respected, because we are bad for ourselves. Like, if you go to tech industry, the tech industry helped the community. If you go to the creative industries, they don't help the community. They're just all about sales and ROI, and there's no sense of humans. There's no sense of individuals. There's no sense of communities. You have big brands, and they don't care. That's the biggest thing I realized. And during the years, it's quite easy to say, I don't want to say in this today brands, but it's easy to understand what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And the biggest lesson I took, and took me a while, how to succeed in the creative industries without the help of the creative industries, and how, if the creative industries are not respected, how to bring the respect for brands that can actually help us to grow. So the biggest lesson was this. So realizing, understanding that our industry is bad for a reason, and how to actually navigate and continue to have the energy and to actually continue the work we are doing to empower creators. That's the biggest lesson and discovery since I started THU, to be honest.
And I have to ask, who is Greg?
Greg is all of us. Greg is actually, I talked about this yesterday, because we are, after 10 years, we are organizing everything about THU, and it's all about communication. First 3 years at THU, I was always on stage at the end of the talk saying, guys, please clean up the garbage. Please arrive on time. A lot of people don't respect time. So, the talk starts at 9. They start to arrive at 9:30. Like, the hell? Ian McKay just flew to Portugal to give a masterclass for you guys. He took like his own holidays, non-paid, and you don't arrive on time. So I was always on stage, this kind of stuff. So at some point I was like, no, I need to figure out a way that I'm not the father. I don't want to be the old grumpy man. So I need to find a way. So we built Greg, that is, don't be like Greg. Greg is it's all of us. We all have bad things about ourselves, all of us. And so we create Greg to see, don't be like Greg. So because you are being a Greg. And it's pretty cool, because during the event, people say you are being a Greg. And it's an easy way for someone to understand that your behavior is not good. So we need to change. So Greg is us, all of us. We are trying to explain and to communicate and to inspire everyone to be a better person.
Yeah, it's such a powerful metaphor in a lot of ways. I think that a lot of people would probably be taking that with them as well. not just leaving that at THU, but realizing like the things that they want to improve on, well, manifesting that into that person, that Greg. It's a way to gravitate away from being that thing. I don't want to be those things. I want to be this. It's going to define me.
Yeah, and I love Greg. I wish to have more money to actually develop this and the message to be more powerful in terms of communication and to inspire more. But I'm happy with what we already achieved with Greg. And at the event itself, we saw a lot of change in terms of behaviors, and everything started to be super clean. And people arrive on time, what is quite unique around the world, that people arrive on time. They follow the values, like if you see someone alone, just go there and don't leave anyone alone. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. Thank you for reminding me.
And you should be proud. This year, what's in store? I know it's still early days, but I'm sure you've been pondering, planning, and scheming.
Well, this year it's the first year that we are no longer doing THU, the main event. We are going to decide to do it every 2 years, and we are going to do between Japan and the main event. And it's the first year that we actually are doing career camp twice a year. The reason we are doing twice a year is the career camp is our project for a lot of people that can travel. It's an online project for everyone that can't afford. Like there's a lot of people that they can't travel for physical reasons, not just financial, but they can't. And so career camp is for that group of creators that they can't go to events. Event is, in a way or another, is a niche for a specific group of people. That's why we also try to have a lot of scholarships to bring people that, because that's the beauty of THU. We always try to balance between the people that actually can afford and people can't afford, and try to balance everyone. But this year we built career camp twice because we saw that a lot of these young kids, the mental health drops when they know that after now career camp, they only had the chance to actually show their stuff 1 year later. So we saw we are always mapping and talking with the tribe, we realized this was important. So we decided to do every 6 months a milestone to make sure that every 6 months the young kids can actually show the portfolios. The second thing was Creator Circle that you are doing for the first time in Barcelona in July. That was in my mind since 2016. There's a lack of tools for artists that want to become entrepreneurs. We as artists, we are always afraid to talk with VCs, business plan, to start talking about business, and there's few places you can actually feel confident that you can bring your idea to life. So it took me a long time to get the financial conditions to actually do this. So it's happening in July. It just focuses in artists that want to become entrepreneurs, especially women. 80% will be women. So we are going to raise now. We are going to launch now the scholarship program by the end of this month. So we can actually try to find at least 50 young creators, women creators, so we can sponsor full tickets and hotel and food so they can go there. And the Japan, that is focused in storytelling. It's just 3 days storytelling based, the retreat. We're going to bring 10 speakers from 10 different areas to explain that storytelling is everywhere, and hopefully we can start a change of new storytellers in our industry. So we're bringing speakers from fashion, gastronomy, automotive design, branding, film, animation, photography, and all of them, they will bring the storytelling angle and how influence their lives, so we can connect dots in a different way. And that's it. We are pro projects and launching the THU Village that has been on the working for a couple of years. That is the platform that allows us to finally in the near future, you, Allan, can actually have your own system to give back, and you also have your own system to receive things that you need. You need to hire someone. There is a platform there. You need to give mentorships. You can go there. You need to make a call for an action for something. That the tribe will have a platform that allow the tribe to our own system. The tribe to actually is our own economy. Let's say this, where we hopefully will help a lot of people, and it will be an easy way to actually build this connection that are forged in all these projects that we do. And it's a lot of work. Sounds like. It's fun. And at the same time, in Barcelona and Kaga City in Japan, we are working with the local authorities to build creative hubs. So we can actually use our events to impact the local communities. But it's something that is in my mind for a long time. And especially in Japan, we are working with the mayor of Kaga to design and build a creative hub. Kaga is a wonderful place as you are a young creator and you need like your time to design your idea, develop your concept. Like in terms of ideation is an utopia to be there. Imagine like Japan 400 years ago with full of mountains, like nature, like with a lot of arts and crafts, high level arts and crafts, the best food. Is a small town with 4 restaurants with Michelin stars. Imagine like this. And everything is cheap in a way, super cheap. And we fall in love with the city. Now we are building the first foundations to, with the tribe, help a city to grow and to develop, and with this helping the tribe to go to a different scale. So has been super interesting. We just launched this a couple of days ago, so it's fresh new.
There's so much going on, but it sounds really inspiring and really exciting. Where can people go to find out more about all of this, but also to keep tabs on it so that way they can be available when the right times come?
Our website, we are not the best communicator stuff we do, so probably we'll feel lost. Everyone will feel lost in our website, to be honest and fair. We are changing that, but it will take some time. But in our website and social media, like Instagram is where we communicate more. And it's the tools that you can find all the information and subscribe the newsletter. That we are really good on the newsletter. Like, again, our team are super small, so we have a lot of problems, like flaws. But in this specific case, like we are pretty good, and we try to be on top of the information to give to the tribe. So people wants to really be part of this, and everyone that actually want to be part of this reach out, because we need help in all the ways. So it's pretty interesting to receive the love and passion from the ones that actually care about the industry.
Again, I just want to congratulate you on putting together such an amazing community and building this up. It's always been really inspiring, and again, I want to say thank you for the opportunity last year to attend as well. So this has been amazing.
It is a pleasure, and like I said before, like was for a long time in my list, as you know, the reasons you were not being there first. But you have been in my list for a long time. So was a milestone in THU when I brought you last year, honestly, from my heart. And Mark Simonetti knows this. And now it's just how can you do more and together and trying to change and develop our industry as much as we can. So thank you for the opportunity to actually be here with you and talk about this in a completely different setup and different way. So it means a lot.